Hello, Richard Hammond here, and I've been given a privileged sneak preview of the new motorcycle installation here at the Haynes Museum, Life on Two Wheels. And it tells the story of my favourite machine humankind has ever invented, the motorcycle. I'm known for my love of cars. For me, really, in here, it's two wheels. And this is how it began. First, humankind had to invent the bicycle. And within moments, as soon as they discovered gearing, connecting the pedals to the rear with a chain, the safety bicycle came about, and then the next thing they did was add an engine. And then we were free. And the greatest machine we've ever known was born. There's examples here going all the way through to late 70s and 80s. Brough Superior, an example of a genius who didn't waste his time inventing a lot of stuff. He simply found the best there was and assembled what was allowed to be called the Rolls-Royce of motorcycles. And I think as a form of expression, because a bike has got less to it, Sex Chelsea, there's not so much of it, say, with this Supreme. In fact, I have an OK Supreme at home. A once magnificent brand that disappeared. But again, there's so little to it to express with, and yet a motorcycle manages to express so much with so few parts, which means they can tell the story each of their respective era. And you can see it here, walking through by the decade, until inevitably we end up at the mods and the rockers. It's a long time ago. I'm guessing I can dimly remember it. Probably a lot of visitors won't at all. But again, each of these, it's two wheels with an engine somewhere in between, and yet they stood for something completely different. The rivalry was immense between factions. Rivalry again. Here we start talking about Japan. And what happened when the Japanese realised, yeah, these are great things, but we can make them so, I don't know, they don't leak, and we can productionise them in such a fashion we can make money from them. The history of the motorcycle industry, I think, is filled with as much passion as people like me feel for the machines themselves. There's a little bit inside of me that will forever be 17, riding one of these, any of these, somewhere. My love affair with bikes began, I don't know, I was about 6, and I'd worked out with my dad how many days until I could drive a car. And then I worked out it was 365 fewer until I could ride a motorcycle. And from that second on, like every other kid, putting a playing card in the spokes on the chainstay of my bicycle so it sounded like a bike. I learned since talking to him that Evel Knievel used to do exactly the same, pretending to be Joey Chitwood, who was a stunt rider. For me, the answer, I think, is yes, they move us about the place, they enable us to cover ground, and that's important at a human level, but they do it as a machine that's broadly on a scale with us. You don't operate that or any other bike by sitting isolated inside it and operating controls. You work with it, your own body weight, your shoulders, your wrists, your eyes, your legs, your knees, your thighs, all of you work together to operate it. You work in tandem in a way that you don't in a car. Hence their association with freedom. It's more than a machine that you operate. It's something that you work with. It's why we get all romantic and misty-eyed about it. Whether we're a racer, a tough biker, or a commuter, your bike is something you work with. Might not be for you, but for those of us for whom it is everything.